Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this first in three sessions, three webinars that we have planned on the Trimble X7. My name is Neil Pollock. I'm one of the sales directors here at KOREC, and I'll be guiding you through the first of these three webinars today, introducing you to the Trimble X7 laser scanner. It's hardware primarily. So what's new with the X7? How can it work for you? We'll follow this up on the 26th of this month with the second in the series, where we'll be joined by our partners from Trimble Geospatial to talk about the X7 for geospatial professionals. And we'll follow that up on the Tuesday, the 31st, where we will be discussing the Trimble X7 for construction professionals. So the X7 laser scanner, simple, smart, professional. We're going to use today's webinar, as I said, to guide you through the headline hardware features of this fantastic, this groundbreaking scanner. And each of these features has been, and my discussion will be centered around these three core principles of simple, smart, and professional. So simple, not to be mistaken for being dumbed down. This is exceptional technology. We're going to discuss some features today that have not been seen on a laser scanner before. But what Trimble have done is to take that technology and make it as user-friendly as possible. That really is at the core of this equipment. So the technology has been created and implemented in such a way that it's easy to learn and easy to use by people at all levels. So smart, we're going to discuss how this technology is giving us efficient in-field data collection. It's taking tasks that were always time-consuming and we're streamlining them to achieve maximum efficiency. So we've got some game-changing innovations in here, such as automatic calibration, Trimble registration assist. So we know that we can count on the X7 for that guaranteed performance and accuracy. So we're leaving site with complete confidence in our data. And professional, yes, we are looking at a fast and very efficient scanner here, but also a very robust and capable scanner. So we can collect our data with a quality that we can trust, but we have robust methods of checking that data quality and that data integrity on site, so we have complete confidence. So this is a professional scanner, has the right blend of innovation and performance, and you're going to see that in features like the survey grade self-leveling, our robust IP55 rating, and you'll notice there, we'll discuss this further, but we have a unique 2-year warranty on the equipment, which is born out of the confidence we have in the equipment. So the X7 key features. Awful lot of information here. Now all of this is available on the X7 spec sheet. That's available from Trimble of myself, KOREC. I don't propose to cover everything and blind you with the numbers here, but we will be focusing primarily on the hardware, so the auto calibration, the auto registration, the auto leveling, and also the vision element of the X7 for the collection of imagery. So to start, Trimble X Drive. This is a revolutionary drive system from Trimble in the X7. And it's allowed for a lot of the innovations that we're going to discuss today. It's a survey grade servo drive, so it's allowing that high-speed laser scanning. It's allowing for a very smart coaxial camera system. It's allowing for our auto calibration. You'll see there that the scanner itself is an enclosed system. not only does it protect the scanner itself, but it's also allowing us to fix in those coaxial cameras there for better imagery and absolute minimum of parallax between the imagery and the scans themselves. And I will come on to that in more detail later. And the drive, as I've said, is essential for the auto calibration. So auto calibration, revolutionary in the X7. So what are we talking about here? So everybody who owns or has owned a scanner in the past will know that calibration time for a scanner is a painful time of year. We know that it is expensive. We know that kit can be away from you for up to 6 weeks. There's often a higher unit required to fill that gap. If you haven't owned a scanner and you're viewing this, then this is definitely something to be aware of, as people will tell you that costs can and do run into thousands of pounds. But it is a necessity. So we need good quality, we need reliability, we need accuracy, and we need repeatability. All features that we need, all features that we demand from our scanners, and calibration is a must to achieve this. So what have Trimble done here? Well, they've taken that process out of the lab, out of the workshop, and they've built it into their scanner. What this means is that prior to each scan, each and every scan with the X7, the scanner is calibrating itself. So you see there, we have a 25-second auto calibration, no targets required, completely on board before each and every scan. So what's it mean for you, for the user? First of all, it means you have absolute confidence in the integrity of each scan. It eliminates downtime. We don't need to send the scanner back, so we are vastly reducing downtime, but also cost of the scanner over its life. And again, as I've mentioned, it means we can offer a 2-year warranty, which is unique to this scanner. So we have auto calibration, which is enabled by the X-Drive. We also offer auto leveling. Now, the scanner will not level itself before your eyes, but what it will do is allow you to have setups where you may not be completely level, and it will account for that. Where your level may be off by plus or minus 5 degrees, the level of the scan will be compensated, and this is done to quite really a phenomenal 3 arc seconds. So we really are dealing with survey grade, a survey grade scanner here. So this is not IMU based. This is not dual axis compensation. This is an entirely new technology. What it allows for is not only a large range of level that can be compensated for, but also huge degree of accuracy with that self-leveling. So I've said scans that are outside the 5-degree limit, up to 45 degrees, will have their some coarse leveling. But what we can do in the software, and we'll see this later as we discuss registration, those scans that are outside that 5-degree limit will be pulled into line. So scans that have been leveled will be fixed. Scans that are coarse leveled will be pulled into line. And that's done within the Perspective software, which we'll discuss. So moving on to digital time of flight EDM within the X7. Advantages of that, you can see there we have a range noise, 3 millimeters, 2 mil range accuracy. But what I want to focus on here really is what we call our high sensitivity mode. You can see there a standard scanning speed, 500 kilohertz. We can select our high sensitivity mode when scanning, which brings that down to 166. Now, why are we doing that? Why would you want to do that? Perhaps not relevant on every scan, but what it will do is allow us to capture surfaces where previously we wouldn't have captured data. Those who have a background in laser scanning will know the dark, the reflective, the shiny surfaces would not always have given us a return or given us reliable data. You can see there in the lower image that by selecting that high sensitivity mode in any of the scans, we can pick up reliable, quality, clean data on surfaces that wouldn't have been able to be scanned in the past. So moving on to our scan duration and our point spacing, where I don't propose to spend a huge amount of time here running through all of our numbers. But what I do want to highlight is the difference there between the standard and the high sensitivity scans. As you can see, we will have larger point spacing. We may collect less points, but it means that we will be able to collect data on surfaces that wouldn't have been able to be scanned previously. I'll also use this slide to highlight the fact that these scan times, so the duration of the scans, the 2, 4, 7, and 15 minutes that are specified, the duration is rounded up to the nearest minute. And that includes the longest calibration time. A few slides ago, when we talked about the auto calibration, I mentioned a 25-second calibration sequence before each scan. During that auto calibration, the scanner is measuring its environment and it's creating a calibration file based on that to apply to that scan. These numbers, the 2, 4, 7, and 15 minutes, are really a worst case scenario number. As the scanner begins to recognize this environment, or if we stay in an environment which is broadly the same, that calibration time can drop to around 10 seconds. And obviously the scan times will drop accordingly. Again, all of this timing information, point spacing information is available on the X7 specification sheet, which you can request from ourselves at KOREC. So moving on from our scan times, those scan times assume a scan without imagery. Now, I want to move on to talk about the Trimble Vision 360 technology again, which is enabled by the X-Drive system. It allows us to have these 3 10-megapixel coaxial cameras in the system to give us minimum parallax between the scans and the imagery. Now you see from the image in the bottom right there that we have options of 15 images or 30 images, 1 minute or 2 minutes. The 2-minute option, that gives us higher overlap between our images, meaning that should we want to use the images to produce standalone panoramas as well as color our point cloud, then that is possible. And with the 2-minute, more overlap, we may get more detail on the images at close quarters if they're to be used as a standalone product. For colorization of scan data, we only need to add the 15 image 6 position 1 minute option. So we're only adding 1 minute to each of those scan times to get full color on those scans. Now there's no time wasted here. So again, following this theme of absolute efficiency through the X7, whilst the scanner is taking the images, it's simultaneously transferring the scan data, which has been collected prior to the imagery, and registering those scans. This obviously increases efficiency. We have minimal downtime, and we can actually color our scans in the field and produce panoramas in the field. And we will come on to that a little bit later. So we have our quality scan data, we have our imagery. Where is that being transferred to? You can see there the Trimble T10 tablet, which is supplied with the X7 scanner. So a very powerful piece of kit in itself. This is running a Windows operating system. Some highlights: 8 GB of RAM, 256 GB of storage. Again, a specification sheet for this is available on request. On the theme of storage, it's important to note that the X7 actually stores, as well as a registered copy of the data on the T10 tablet, it is storing a raw copy of that scan data on board the scanner. Belt and braces in terms of data redundancy, a great feature. We have our fully registered and coloured point cloud if required on the tablet. We also have a raw copy being stored on the scanner itself, but via an SD card. So over the next few slides, I'm going to show you some of the functionality of the operating system. In this case, it's going to be the Trimble Perspective operating system. Now, this we tackled in much more detail in the second webinar of the series with our partners from Trimble Geospatial. And then we'll follow that with the option for the Trimble Field Link workflow, again on the T10 tablet. That will be in webinar number 3 of the series. So we have auto calibration, we have auto leveling, and now we're going to look at automatic registration. So typically scan data has been transported back to an office, and a registration, either automatic or manual, would be carried out in the office. We can now, with the X7, do that in the field. Now, this is a full auto registration carried out live in the field on board the tablet. At the end of the project, we can give a registration report on site after a full refinement of the scan data. This is a situation with the X7. When we finish on site, we are finished. We have a fully registered, coloured point cloud ready to go. Now, there are numerous tools for checking of the registration on site, on the tablet. These again will be covered in more detail in webinar number 2, but suffice to say, we can complete the job, we can review the job, and we can refine the job on the tablet on site, giving you complete confidence that when you leave site, you have the data that you need with the quality that you need. So we'll look briefly here at our labeling and annotation function, which is available on the tablet. Now you can see here we have a slice through some X7 data here. And what Perspective will allow us to do is to label and annotate live on site. Now this can be done in a view as you see here. It can be done within a station-based view. What it's allowing us to do is to annotate points of interest. Now we know that it's not always the person who carries out field work and the scanning that will be working with that data, be that 2D drawings, modelling, Revit, however the data is going to be used. What these annotations allow us to do is to enrich that scan data by adding labels, adding extra imagery, adding descriptions, and that will allow office personnel, CAD operators to be able to better understand the data that they are working with. So we mentioned earlier that we have the option to collect imagery on the scanner, and Trimble Perspective will actually allow us to create panoramas from that imagery in the field. We can actually colour the scan data in the field, either on an ad hoc basis, a scan by scan basis, or we can do that as a batch function at the end of the project, which some people prefer. Now, in the pursuit of efficiency and speed and preserving of battery power, what Perspective will do is give us a fast in-field panorama creation. That allows us to have confidence that we've collected the imagery that we need, we may be adding annotations to that imagery as well. We reserve the quality panorama creation, so should you want to use those as a standalone deliverable, we reserve that for the export and the finalization of the project. What that means is we're not spending time at each scan waiting for the panorama creation to happen when we could be moving on and collecting more data. We get the fast panorama creation for a review, make sure we're happy, we've captured all the imagery that we require, and then the quality export, the quality panorama creation can be left to the end of the project and done again as a batch function. Again, this is all in pursuit of absolute efficiency whilst on site. Now, with or without colour, we can begin to take fast, accurate measurements again in the field. Now, these can again be carried out either in the station view, as you can see here, or within fixed views, top view, for example. And we can actually constrain these, so we're confident that when we're taking, for example, a measurement and we're only interested in a Z value, we can constrain it in that direction. It's a very fast, easy way to be checking on site. We may be checking clearances, for example, and we want to do that whilst we're in the field live, perhaps informing other teams that are on site with us. So we have workflow flexibility. Now, what do I mean by that? So these are different ways in which we can operate the scanner. We have our tablet connected to Perspective as our first option. This is the richest way to work. So data is being synced, we're registering in real time, we're viewing our imagery on the tablet, we're triggering the scanner on the tablet, we're choosing our settings live on screen. We also have a second option, which is we're connected to the tablet, but perhaps we don't want to be reviewing the data with every scan. We have confidence in what we're doing. In that case, we can establish a project, choose our settings, and then simply use the power button on the side of the scanner to trigger each scan after that. At any point, we can be jumping back onto the tablet and we can be reviewing our data, but it may be that we want to scan and move, scan and move, scan and move very quickly, and we can do that by just pressing the power button on the side of the scanner, and that will trigger a scan. Our third option is to be disconnected from the tablet altogether. We can start the scanner. What it will do is to remember the settings. So the scan resolution, whether we want color, all of these things from the last project. It means we can use the power button on the scanner again to trigger a scan, but we don't need the tablet to be with us. We have less control. We can't change scan resolutions on the move, but it does mean that should the tablet not be there for any reason, we can still use the scanner. The scans in this case would be stored on board the scanner on an SD card and can be registered using Trimble RealWorks after the project. So seamless data integration, I have discussed that when we finish on site, we are finished. We have a registered data set. We can have a colorized data set. We have our imagery. Where do we want to go with that? You can see here the suite of Trimble softwares, Trimble Business Center, Trimble RealWorks, Trimble Tekla. Our export is a fully registered point cloud, and we'll come on to the different formats that can be exported in. But suffice to say that we can feed that data into a huge number of programs, including Autodesk products, Recap, etc., Bentley products. So we aren't locked down to Trimble only software. You can see there that the point cloud exports, and these are direct from the scanner as a finished, fully registered product, can be E57 or LAS, hugely popular in the industry. We can go direct to an RTP file, so from tablet to recap, for example. We've got our pod export and our PTX should people be using a Leica workflow and require that. We obviously do have our Trimble specific export, so the TDX format will take the entire project. It's then available to Trimble RealWorks, Trimble Business Center, and the other Trimble solutions that we can see there, such as Trimble Forensics, Tekla, etc. So the advantages of taking that data into Trimble RealWorks or Trimble Business Center is, one, you'll have seamless integration with the rest of your survey data. So that might be topographical data, it could be data from a TX6 or TX8 scanner, it could be from a Trimble SX10. A big advantage here is that the labels, the field annotations, the measurements that we've taken will actually be brought out within that project. If we have a number of annotations, we have a number of on-site measurements. If that project was to be opened in Trimble RealWorks or Trimble Business Center, those annotations would come with it. So to move now on to some of the practicalities of the scanner. The scanner is supplied with a hard case, but it's also supplied with this soft shell backpack. A lot of time was spent making sure that this was carry-on compliant for most airlines, so we can travel with this, obviously not at the moment, but in time. You can see that it's very light, 5.8 kilograms, including battery, and important to note for Trimble S-Series total station users that the batteries are interchangeable. So if you are a Trimble user and you have those batteries and chargers, they can be used with the Trimble X7 scanner. That backpack will also support carrying the lightweight Gitso tripods, carbon fiber tripods, and with the addition of this quick release adapter, we can attach and detach the scanner extremely quickly. So I thank you for your time. We've hit the highlights there of the Trimble X7 hardware. As discussed in week 2, Thursday the 26th of this month, we'll be focusing more on Trimble X7 for geospatial professionals, so looking at the X7 in specific geospatial applications and looking at the Trimble Perspective operating system on the T10 tablet. Those of you who have attended today will automatically receive an invite to that shortly after the webinar. We'll follow that in week 3, Tuesday the 31st, with the Trimble X7 for building construction professionals, where we'll have more of a focus on the Trimble FieldLink operating system. Now, do feel free to sign up for any or all of these to get a whole picture of what the X7 can offer. Again, thank you for your time, and I'm now able to take your questions. So we have a first question there. Are the cameras capturing in HDR? They're not capturing in HDR. What they are doing is using exposure fusion. There are several settings available on the camera. If you are working in, for example, fluorescent lighting, we have a setting for that. Personally, I've been using the auto settings, and we've had some fantastic results from that. Can of course share some sample data with you, both coloured scan data and some imagery if you'd like to contact us following the webinar. Okay, second question. So we've said, can it register in dark environments? Yes, it can. So the scanner is actually using the IMU to track its position between its movement between scans, and then performing a cloud-to-cloud registration on the tablet itself. So in terms of darkness, that doesn't have an effect. Any more questions? So can the scanner be inverted? Yes, yes it can. So what we would do there is to scan above surface with our auto leveling. The inversion of the scanner would obviously not be able to be compensated for, but what the software, the Trimble Perspective software, would do is to use the leveled scans as a reference point, and then we can then attach that inverted data to the leveled scans. So can it be easily positioned over a known control point and placed on grid in the field? That will be covered in detail in webinar 3 of the series, where we can we'll discuss in more detail the georeferencing. So if you'd like to contact us, I can give you more detail on that, but that will be covered in detail by our colleagues from Trimble Buildings in webinar 3. Can it work sideways? Good question. I haven't tried it sideways. The scanner is very lightweight. If we don't have the quick release adapter, it does take a standard survey 5/8 thread. I think I have used the TX8 sideways, which is considerably heavier, so I would say yes. So is it possible to compare scan data to design data on site once the cloud has been registered on site? Yes. Again, that will be covered in webinar number 3 in detail, but yes, that is possible. Okay, if we have no more questions, I will thank you again for your time. Hope everybody is keeping themselves well, and we'll look forward to seeing you for webinars 2 and 3. Please do register for those. If anybody has any issues registering for any or all of the upcoming webinars, please do get in touch with anybody at KOREC, and they'll be able to help you out with that.